the other laptop. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I think we're live. Let's see. Okay, we are live, and I'll just ask if people can see us.
Okay, I'll also check.
You have the link.
Yeah. I think
if the sound,
in the tweet.
Yeah, in the tweet itself. Yeah, I think you know that. So you can check if it's proper. There should be a little bit of latency. Because Zoom already mentions in the official documentation there's a bit, but I think it's more of a minute there.
Oh, okay.
All right, so let's go and check it out.
Yeah, it's like real life.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
3 people are watching. One is me, so there are 2 people who are watching.
So this gets recorded and posted anyway, so it's a nice resource for later. So Arpit,
Yeah.
I think we first met in ETH India 1, right?
Yep.
And you were a participant and you built it. I think were you one of the winners?
Yes.
So before attending ETH India 1, and so did you have any knowledge about this, and how did you get interested in this ecosystem? I mean, what were you doing then, and how did you find about ETH India and got interested in it?
Right. So I was a core backend guy, like writing APIs and stuff. So my flatmate, so I was in Bangalore itself. I used to work at a company called Semantics 3, and they were in Indranagar. So I used to, like one of my flatmates, he used to work at Razorpay. Okay. And Razorpay back then was doing payments for CoinX, which is the crypto OG of crypto exchanges in India. So CoinX, yeah. Okay. So they had a lot of volume, and they were doing. I think ZepPay was before them, but as far as I know, they were just doing Bitcoin, and CoinX was doing a lot of coins. So then he got me into it. He said that this crypto thing is super interesting and all. So then I tried
it through your flatmate.
Yeah.
And when was it during an evening chat, or just one morning randomly mentioning that this is interesting?
Yeah, I think we were just chatting about, what do we do at work? And he was working on that particular project, like that payments integration with CoinX and Razorpay.
All right.
So he knew very well about it. So in that sense, I think I was one of the early users as well, right? Because that thing was still being built. So then I got started with trading, put a little bit of money and stuff. So this was in...
Yeah, which year?
2000. When was ETH India 1?
ETH India 1, I think, was in 2017.
No, 2018.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, so this was in 2017, and I put a bit of money. But in some months, like I was interested in this stuff, right? I was reading about it on Twitter and stuff. But then I realized that crypto is not just about trading. It's about a lot more, right? Yeah. Especially Ethereum and stuff. Exactly. So then I used to read a little bit about it, but not a lot.
So online, are there also textbooks as a,
there are good books as well.
Okay.
But that's not my style. So I just try to read online. So I did that. And then fortunately, we also did a small blockchain POC project at my last job.
Right.
And I did that. So then I got to know like a lot about Ethereum, what is being built on it. So I got super interested in that. And then I quit my job to learn.
That was quite fast. So how did you, I mean, it doesn't always happen because, what people do is generally while chatting, there are a lot of things that we come through. And then one thing catches, our attention, and then we just follow it. And so do you think there's, as in, I'm not sure if I'm going in the right direction with it, but do you think there's something meant for us to be found interesting? Because of course, I'm sure that because not only your flatmate mentioned it, or maybe it must have been mentioned from someone else back then. But then again, a lot of things would have mentioned, like for example, let's say a particular programming language or a totally different field, but you didn't find that interesting, but you only found this interesting, and then you pursued it, and then later quit your job. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think why I found it super interesting was because the ideas were entirely new from what I had seen, right? So I was building a lot of stuff in Web 2,
Mm-hmm.
but suddenly this Web 3 thing came and they are trying to change the internet. They are trying to change how the internet works. They are trying to change how money works. So then as a techie, I got very interested. Of course, there are a lot of things happening, but uh, when I realized that you have a chance to fundamentally rethink how internet could work, and then in some points I realized you could rethink how money could work, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, I think I got super interested because of that.
So at any point, did you find it a little risky to quit your job and delve totally deep
Oh,
into this technology? Not at all.
no, not really, because back then, also this was in 2017, right? So there was a lot of blockchain hype,
All right.
and
Yeah.
it seemed like blockchain could solve all the world problems, like even global warming somehow.
That's what I wanted to learn more about today.
So
And
yeah,
then,
back then,
yeah,
yeah, I was
yeah,
just saying back then it seemed like blockchain will solve everything, but obviously that's not the case.
mhm.
But of course, like we are on the way to solve some of the things. It's not easy to solve a lot of the challenges that blockchains immediately or like promised back then.
Mhm.
But then I didn't feel it was a risk because I thought
Yeah.
this is where the world is going.
So you the things. I mean, you are still doing a blockchain, and you've just launched the $5. So are the things the same that you found interesting back then, as in the promise to solve a lot of problems, and are they still the same, or there's a new layer added up over it?
Definitely new layers. So how it works is like once you look at something from a bird's eye view, right? Then you might find it interesting.
Yeah.
But once you get closer and you keep zooming in, right? Then you realize where the action is happening, and you might find something else interesting in it, some particular thing in it more interesting. So yeah, that was for me as well. So like when you look at it from 10,000 feet, you think that a blockchain can do a lot of things, and it can do.
Mhm.
And also that when you zoom into it, like you really see what projects are building, and then you get deeper into it. Then you think that, okay, this is something that needs to be solved,
Yeah.
or this is a good improvement over a particular project. So yeah, and also blockchain moves very fast. So uh, like there's this thing called DeFi, which is decentralized finance, and it was brewing back then in 2017, but it really became a rage in 2019, and then 2020 is the year of the DeFi.
Oh, sure. So right now I'm at like a totally different planet, and like, I'm staring at the moon with the blockchain because I've only been hearing things, and
Yeah.
I've been involved with ETH India, of course, but I never really got that past that bird's or astronaut's eye view on blockchain. So I'm really excited
Uh-huh.
to. I have a lot of questions actually,
Yeah,
and
of course.
we decided to go into it. And so, yeah, so I would love to talk about, for you to share about more about DeFi dollar, but I think I'll understand it better after I've understood a couple of more things.
Yep.
Then
Yeah, that's better.
we can start getting it.
Uh-huh.
So Arpit, so the first thing that I wanted to know was this Web 3.0, right?
Mhm.
So how old is it? I mean, when was the idea of Web 3.0, first was out there and people started noticing that there is something after Web 2.0 or something
Right.
different from Web 2.0? Yeah.
Right. So, strictly speaking, Bitcoin started in 2010, but back then no one was calling these things Web 3, right? It's just a term that came much later.
Okay, so
So
Bitcoin.
then,
Yeah, I'm so right now. Just I'm sorry to interrupt, but right now
no, of
sharing my
course.
screen, so I'll just be writing random things. So it's
Sure.
for me
Yeah.
to, yeah, yeah, please.
Right. So Bitcoin started in 2010 back
Mm.
then,
Okay.
and people didn't really, only some nerds believed in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first transaction that ever happened with Bitcoin was a guy bought
A
two
pizza.
pizzas.
Yes. Oh, two visas.
Yeah,
Okay.
two pizzas with 10,000 Bitcoins.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so this is how it happened. But then slowly, some people adopted ideas from the Bitcoin white paper,
Mm-hmm.
and they started to rethink a lot of things, right? So Bitcoin, in a way, was decentralizing money or currency. What
So
that means is, yeah,
yeah, so you said back in 2010. So only a few nerds believe in. So when these two pizzas were bought
yeah,
back, like you said, it was new. So the pizzas must have been purchased from some I don't know if I'm sounding dumb, but I really don't have much idea about it. So pizzas must have been purchased from some vendor, like say Pizza Hut or Domino's or somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
So were they accepting bitcoins, or was it something that got exchanged into a currency of that country or something?
They definitely weren't. So I don't know the exact answer to that. I never thought about that. So I'm pretty sure they weren't accepting Bitcoin. Maybe it was given as a personal favor. Like, yeah, I think so.
Since then, it's become a legend for about pizzas. But pizza is a really nice thing first thing to buy with the new currency.
I know, I know. So you're running some program on your computer, like that's how Bitcoin works. And after some days, you are able to buy pizzas and treat your friends. That's worth it. Of course, those are worth like, I don't know, $1 billion or $100 million now.
Yeah, good. Right now.
Four into four, $100 million. Yeah.
So these bitcoins, Arpit, so they are running. So is it? I don't know if I'm right. Is it analogous to, let's say, I'm not. Let's say I have some sort of. Let's say I have a piece of paper, and is it like, let's say, a group of friends, we start believing that it is a currency for some.
And yeah, that's exactly like that, and that's also with regular currencies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, yeah, exactly. So it's just about the belief, and so if you come to my house and then
some value.
Yeah. So let's say you come to my house and then I say that if you want to access the internet, give me a bread, right?
Yeah.
So then bread becomes a currency in my house. So in that way, every currency is just about perception, right? People just believing that there is value in it. Just that the regular currencies, INR, USD, is people believing in it because government approves of it. So, but the idea is the same.
The demonetization, where just one night everyone just stops believing that is a currency and there's no value.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's this thing about computer running programs? So where does that factor in? Are these heavy programs, or do they take up a lot of computing powers?
Yeah, so I'll tell you. So if you think about it, what is your bank balance? The figure that you see in your net banking, right? So that is just some number in a database, right?
Yeah.
It isn't really backed by something, or there are no physical goods that back it. So it's just some entry in the database, which if you think about it, anyone can alter. I mean, not anyone, but it is possible to do that technically, is what I mean, right? Even though it will be illegal and RBI is probably auditing all the banks and stuff. But what Bitcoin does is it says that you should not be able to update this database. One person should not be able to update this database, and it enforces that at a technological level.
Okay.
Right. So instead of just trusting your bank or RBI to not increase or decrease your balance, what if you could implement that at a technological level, and you could use technology to make that impossible? Right. So that is the idea behind Bitcoin.
That makes a lot of sense. So initially, let's say it started with just two people and Bitcoins. So how did they make sure that the person holding Bitcoin is not changed by the other one? And when, let's say, a third or the fourth person came in, so is this where the concept of blockchain comes into play?
Right. So now I spoke about the database, right? So Bitcoin is very simple. That decentralizes the database. What that means is there will be hundred thousands of people who are keeping a copy of that database, right? And updates to that need agreement or consensus, right? Not one person can update it. 51% of the network needs to agree to a change, and then you make a change. So yeah, Bitcoin is as simple as that. It's just a database which resides on 100 servers, or like 100,000 servers.
So it's different from so right now the bank balance and the database is owned by just one bank.
Yeah.
And then maybe some malicious person can make change to that, or someone authorized can make a change. Let's say if my bank balance is 10,000 and someone just removes 2 zeros, it's 100.
Yeah. Exactly. Right? To take a more realistic example, right?
Yeah.
So PNB gave out 14,000 crores to Nirav Modi, right? And they didn't have the right collateral. They didn't have the right paperwork. It was just 5 PNB employees were able to, sign on that document and say that, okay, give this guy a loan. But what if you could prevent that using technology, right? And technology is there, so why not do it? So what if you could stop malicious people from acting on, for their vested interests, and you enforce that with technology? So how do you do that? You like give copies of the database, right?
So
Or
everyone
like
will know if the change is happening, and they have to agree
exactly,
to the change.
exactly, yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, that's how it works. So unless 50% of the people say that this update is okay to go, it doesn't happen.
Oh no, Nirav Modi. Oh shit. So it's like if 51% of the that's really crazy. I now know why you got so interested in this. So this is the concept of decentralization, as in there's no one
Yep.
central authority, but it's everywhere. I mean,
Yes.
in the network. So that
Right.
network is called blockchain.
Correct. So you can be uh, one of those 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
You can run a program on your computer,
Mm-hmm.
and that program is simply fetching updates to the database.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So this is the part of Web3. It's different as in there's a central database control. Like for example, Facebook, they
Yeah.
have their data centers and they control it. So that's
Right.
because it's controlled by a single company or a single authority. It's Web 2.0.
I mean, you could call it anything, but just that. So Web3 is not a term, like some president has coined or anything.
Okay.
It's just that people generally thought that Web3 is a good term because it is fundamentally very different from Web2.
Hmm.
So apparently there was also Web3 before this,
Okay.
and that was something around giving structure to unstructured data.
All
So
right.
even that was called Web3, but I'm not sure about that. But then I don't think it became very huge. So then this new thing came, and then people started calling this Web3.
Yeah. So like
So it's
a short discussion that we had before this call, like Web 2.0 and Web 3.0. It's not like Web 3.0 is an upgrade to Web 2.0.
yeah,
It's
it's
a
not an
it's
upgrade.
a, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, it's a totally different universe and just something that people decided to call it. I'm sure not everyone in the tech community would agree with this being the Web3. Probably Web2 enthusiasts want an upgrade to be called Web3. So
Exactly.
it's just like a term that goes around.
Are there any other terms or names that people are throwing around for this, or any other candidate that has a lot of potential?
No, just Web3, which encompasses everything blockchain. That is Web3. Yeah.
So far we've got in 2010 there was this thing called Bitcoin,
Yeah.
and the people used to buy pizzas, and it was based on blockchain. So, and
Yeah.
then that idea of blockchain of decentralization was adopted and turned into different flavors.
Yeah. So when Bitcoin became really huge, right, lots of smart people started thinking about what else you could do with it.
Mhm.
So Bitcoin did payments very well, like decentralizing money. Uh, Bitcoin did that very well. So yeah, some smart people thinking about what else you can do with it. And then Vitalik Buterin,
Yeah.
like super smart guy, Thiel fellow, PhD guy, PhD dropout, and all of that. He thought of doing the same, like giving you the same guarantees which blockchains give you,
Mhm.
but for computation. So
Okay.
what if you could run programs in a decentralized manner?
So Bitcoin blockchain was only for currencies,
Yep.
right? Only for exchange of value and to buy and sell stuff. And
Right.
now Vitalik comes in and he says that what if you could run programs
Yes.
decentralized? So what does that mean, running programs? So how is it different from, let's say, me running Zoom or YouTube on my computer?
Uh, Running Zoom or YouTube won't be the perfect example. Okay, let's take YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
And instead of Ethereum, I'll talk about IPFS first.
Mm-hmm.
So IPFS is the decentralized internet.
Mm-hmm.
And that is also one of the first things that came under the purview of Web3, right? So they were trying to decentralize the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And the ideas behind those are when you watch a YouTube video, you fetch videos from a centralized server, which Google owns, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But what if you could make anyone a server? So let's
Any
say,
server?
yeah, any computer or at least the willing participants.
Mm-hmm.
So you watched a video.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's say we are producing this video right now, right?
Okay.
Why do we want to give it to Google or why do we want to upload it to YouTube, right?
Because it has lots of signups. I mean, it has a lot of users. So
Yes, yes. So yes, so distribution, users, and signups is from the technological perspective, right? There is no strong reason to do that in the sense that what if there's some technological
Mhm.
what if there's technology available that lets you stream from your computer, right? And only people who want to view it can view it.
And it's not shown in someone's feed.
Google or YouTube could always implement that, right? They could
Yeah,
make videos private and all that.
yeah.
But
Unless you can watch only with the link. Yeah.
right. But why do you have to take it all the way to the Google server?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say we upload it there, and what if Google goes down? What if YouTube censors it?
Uh-huh.
Right. How do you work around all of that?
Yes.
So yeah, the idea was, of course, one was to save bandwidth in the sense that if you and I are sitting in the same room and we are sitting in the same and we are watching the same video, both of us fetch it from YouTube. So one idea was like saving bandwidth. So if you watch a video once, you can directly stream it to me, and
Yeah.
then I can watch it. Obviously, it would be happening behind the scenes. You wouldn't know. But also, there's a lot of philosophy here. So there are a lot of people who get censored on these platforms. Lots of content creators,
Exactly.
and yeah, like even with like so much censorship around COVID videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, lots of people who said anything that did not go with what the WHO believes,
Mm-hmm.
those videos were being censored, right? And you can't really say that that's a bad thing.
It's being
So,
controlled by a.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. So the idea behind Web3 is more philosophy, also technology, but it's also about like lots of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's this book about Edward Snowden, right?
Yeah.
It's called No Place to Hide.
I think it's been banned somewhere in some countries.
I wouldn't be surprised if it has, but I didn't know.
I've only heard, so I'm not really sure. Don't take my word for it.
No, that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that guy talks about the NSA, National Security Agency of the USA,
Yeah.
watching all the activities that you're doing. Of course, it's in the name of that we are trying to save you from terrorism.
Yeah.
But there's some good that comes out of it. But then again, because this process is not decentralized, right? Only a few people have this power.
Yeah.
These all your surveillance, all your records, and whatever your internet activity is being used to like surveil you, right? And not all of that is good. Sometimes the NSA employees do that for their personal interests. Sometimes the government just wants to know what's your political opinion, right? So with 10 things that come around like saving you from terrorism, there are 90 other things that come because of it, and government never agrees to it. Only when these documents were leaked did we find out. So they also spy on foreign companies, they spy on Chinese companies, they spy on Indian companies. So they are funding this architecture, this infra, in the name of like anti-terrorism.
Yeah.
But they're actually using for like 90% of it to actually surveil like other countries, other citizens, and gain a competitive advantage in deals. So all of that, and also their citizens. So this is the idea and philosophy behind Web3. Like, what if you could decentralize all of this? What if you could, all your activity is, private.
So yeah, this really reminds me of that Watch Dogs game. Have you heard of it?
No,
There's so
I've
much.
heard of it, but I haven't played.
Yeah. So the idea is that the person in the game, the person you are playing as, has access to all the cameras, your phone, so he can access. So
right.
how you attack someone is like if they are walking across a telephone line or a electric pole, so you can connect electric pole and make it go berserk or something.
Right.
And then you can listen to the conversations and you can the profile and see what they're doing, what they're going to do, and things like that.
Yep. Exactly. God mode.
So overall, right now I have this idea about Web3.
Yeah.
So it started with Bitcoin. So I'm just trying to recap and make.
Yeah.
So it started with Bitcoin, and then the decentralized philosophy of Bitcoin was very much interesting to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who were very concerned. Let's say they were concerned about about a central authority having a lot of power.
Yeah.
So would that be a right thing to say?
I think it started with just a bunch of tech nerds being interested in it, but then eventually lots of people joined in for the philosophy, like what it had to offer. Because if you think about it, like why does every nation need a different currency, right? It's only because every government wants its power over its citizens and its currency. They can inflate it freely. Venezuela did that. So many countries do that, right? So also I'll tell you a story. So World War One, right? How that happened? Either one or two, one of these. So that started with like a small conflict between two countries, right? And then one of the two countries thought that it's probably just, there's some amount of like, firing and stuff going on. So they thought that it's probably summer practice for their troops, right?
Was Hitler involved in this war? Somewhere, so it must be World War II. Otherwise, World War I.
I don't remember this part. Probably World War II. Yeah, I think it was World War II. So it started with that. But then it escalated a little bit. But no one thought that this war would go on for 5 years, right? So then what the European countries did was they didn't want to. So obviously they were incurring like these costs on war because they have to fund armies, weapons, and stuff. So they didn't really want to raise taxes because I'm not sure how many people would say that, okay, take my money to fight a war, right? So then what they did was they printed money.
Okay, so to fund the war, instead of doing that, they started printing more money.
Yeah, so before that, actually, money was backed by gold in all the countries. Okay, so government would keep $1 of gold in their reserves and issue $1, right? Whatever the currency was. And this used to happen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was World War II. So around like 1940 or 1945, this used to happen. So then when this conflict began, these couple of countries thought that, okay, let's print some money and let's fund the wars, right? No one will know. But then the war kept on going, right? And these countries kept on printing money to fund the wars. They kept printing money, kept printing money. Now, let's say $100 represent $1 of gold, right? So before that, you could actually go to the bank and say that I want $1 of gold for my note.
Okay.
But then they printed like 100x the amount to fund the wars. And after all of this was over, you simply couldn't redeem the gold, right?
Yeah.
So then all the government said that now you can't redeem the gold and the currency will not be backed by gold. And now we will control the currency.
Okay.
So this is how it happened. And it gives them a lot of freedom over, inflating the supply.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, like I'm not too sure of it, but the Arctic package that the Modi government announced, right? 20 lakh crores.
Yeah.
How do you think, where do you think that is coming from? That is printing money. I'm not saying that is bad to revive the economy. That is required, but it's just that, it's that centralized control and people simply don't understand where the money is coming from. And you're paying tax because your buying power is reducing. Simply because that is the reason all the stock market has, even given the current situation, the stock market is doing very well. Yeah. That is the reason, because the reason behind that is because the currency is becoming weaker. Because a lot of it was printed. Like US printed $6 trillion, India printed, like every country did that. So then, yeah, idea behind, so I think I digress a little bit. Yeah, so the idea behind Bitcoin was, currency of the people. Yeah.
So do you believe in this? Because I'm not really sure, but I heard Michio Kaku's YouTube video, or it was a talk once, where he said that there are types of civilizations. So there's type 0 civilization, type 1 civilization, type 2 civilization, and something like that. So he said that our Earth, or the humanity civilization, Homo sapiens, we're around 0.7. So what happens in a type 1 civilization is, let's imagine that this civilization exists somewhere in some other system or galaxy. So a type 1 civilization has a union of things. For example, they'll have the same language, they'll have the same culture, same music, same currency, and things like that. Right. So he said that we are moving towards a type 1 civilization in a sense that, for example, let's take the English language. It's a global language now. So it's spoken everywhere. Whatever part of the world you go to, there are people who will understand. Right now, just 5 or 6. And then there's English music. That's where we listen everywhere. So you can take that as a part of a culture. And also he said that there'll be just one currency. So do you think that with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we're moving towards that? Because if that's the case, I think it's pretty inevitable that maybe not in our lifetime, but in a couple of years when we become a type 1 civilization, we will have one currency.
I think I hope it moves to that, but I'm not sure how exactly it will play out, right? Maybe blockchain and Bitcoin people will do something wrong and maybe it doesn't work out, or maybe governments always have the power to fight back, right? They don't want to lose control. So I would say it's probably an overstatement to think that because of Bitcoin, world will move there. But yeah, that is what is motivating the community to go on.
So this community, it's just totally out of context question. So let's consider, for example, you've also worked in Web2.com. So for example, let's just pick a language or a framework or something. Let's pick React, for example. It's a JavaScript framework. So the community around it, there's a community around it, of course.
Yep.
So do you think the community right now is how many people? Has it grown to like 1 million or something, or is it just in comparison to React or something? It's that big of a community. It's not very large yet, and people are still joining. It's very young. The community is very young still.
Yeah, we are still very early. I have no clue about the number. Uh, I think they are, no, I have no clue about the numbers, but probably about 100K developers in Ethereum. That's what I know.
Yeah, so I'll just go ahead. So I have the Notion doc that we prepared for this.
Okay.
Share my screen and let's see if we can. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, we didn't have the philosophy part in the.
Yeah, so, I mean it was. It's going ahead and it's okay. So we've got. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So we know that Web 3.0 and Web 2.0 are not Web 3.0 is not an upgrade, but
Yep.
a different thing.
Different thing, yeah.
2.0 the decentralization philosophy that we heard that it's not being controlled by a central authority, but it's distributed. Yep. And because it's distributed, any malicious change or any one party just going around changing the database, doing that is not possible.
Yes.
51%, like you said, have to consent to that change, and then that.
Yes.
Okay, and then we move to blockchain was will you call it a data structure on which Bitcoin was made? Is data structure the right word?
Yeah, a blockchain is a data structure, just a new way of structuring data.
And then what happened is Vitalik thought that it would be a great idea to have decentralized software running. Okay, and then the DeFi and DAOs are actually applications of Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. Yes, on Ethereum, true.
So Ethereum and Bitcoin are parallel. So when Ethereum allows applications to run in a decentralized manner, how is Ethereum currency in itself like Bitcoin?
What was the last sentence? How is Ethereum?
Yeah, because Ethereum, the philosophy behind Ethereum was to allow running of software in a decentralized manner.
Yeah.
Not having a central database or like YouTube and pull YouTube or Facebook or things like that. Yeah. But Ethereum in itself is also a form of currency.
So Ethereum is a blockchain, and there is a currency native to it. It is called the Ether.
Okay, so Ethereum is a blockchain and Ether is the currency.
Right. So Ethereum is just like a framework or a technology. Yeah.
So if they wanted, they didn't have to include an Ether currency on it. I mean, it's just a choice to include it.
Right? So having a currency specific to the blockchain solves a lot of things.
Okay.
Because when you, let's say, build some money applications on the. Okay, so first part is incentivizing the miners, right? The people who are actually running the blockchain. How do you reward them?
Okay, so yeah, I had one question. Sorry to interrupt. But if the philosophy is to move towards just one currency, isn't Ether a currency, Bitcoin a currency, and let's say there are a bunch of other currencies, right?
But like which one is the best? So you think something is the best, and I think that this is an improvement, so I'll make it. There's no one stopping me from doing it. So and similarly, there are 100 other guys.
It's a choice.
Yep.
It's a choice, and all of these cryptocurrencies are interchangeable, as in Ether and Bitcoin. And can you name another currency? Kind of.
Yeah, sure. Like Tezos and I think Near. So these are different blockchains. Mm-hmm. And Polkadot just launched Dot. There's another blockchain called Cosmos that they have an Atom token. So these are different blockchains. And most of these blockchains allow spinning up new currencies or new tokens, as we call them, within themselves, like write programs to make new currencies.
Okay, so I mean, so it's just the choice of people which currency they want to go with. It's just providing options.
Yeah, so it's more about the blockchain and not the currency, right? What really works. So Ethereum was an upgrade over Bitcoin, but then there are lots of people who are building upgrades over Ethereum.
So Bitcoin blockchain, as in which blockchain has what better algorithms or efficiency or things like that?
Yeah, but Ethereum is for computation. So you can actually write programs and run them, right? Bitcoin is just for like transferring payments.
All right.
Just like Paytm. Yeah. But Ethereum is programmable Paytm. So what if you could spin up your own recharge app on Paytm, right? Or something like that.
Yeah. Right. So what other blockchains are there? I mean, India, I think Tezos is a blockchain,
Yeah,
and
Tezos.
other famous blockchains that exist.
So actually, there are people in categories. One category is of people believe there's just Bitcoin and everything else is trash. Then there's second category of people that believe that blockchains are nice, but Ethereum is the best, right? And then there's a third category who say that we are making a better Ethereum. Like Ethereum is a smart contract platform in the sense that you can write programs on it. So then there's a third category who are saying we are making a faster Ethereum.
Okay.
And then there's a fourth category who believe that there will be several blockchains which will be running. So they are building connectors among blockchains.
Okay.
Right. So yeah. So Tezos is another blockchain, and Cardano, Solana, lots of these. And there are a couple very good projects who are building connectors between these blockchains. So those are called Polkadot and Cosmos.
All right. So connectors, as in
one blockchain can talk to the other.
Okay. So
yeah.
So this is very. I mean, you already have blockchain which has so much power, decentralized, and then you can talk to these blockchains. So is this very new? The connectors thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's the problems that they are trying to solve are very hard. So they have been working on it for like at least 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
But there are some projects which have been launched. They don't have a lot of traction, but yeah, I mean, they're nice and they're new. Yes.
Okay. So Arpit, what I wanted, so far we have come to Ethereum, and I understand how Ethereum is a blockchain and Ether is a currency in it, and now where the things are going with connectors and stuff. So before I go more deep into this, we'll just take a level up and go to exchanges. And, I think exchanges were banned in India recently, about a year ago or something, whereas you can convert Ether to INR, or have a Bitcoin you convert to USD. So how does that work? If I have, let's say, one Ether or something, and it equates to $350 or something. So what happens there when I get USD in my pocket? Where does that Ether go? Is it just being held?
Someone else buys it. So this is how trading works with stocks, right? When you sell a stock, someone else is buying it on the other side. That's how trading works.
Okay, so
and whatever
then they can.
Yep. So only if someone buys your sell, right? That's how it works. So let's say there are two of us, and there's an exchange who is facilitating exchange between us, just like how Zerodha would work or how stock trading works. So I deposit $350 and you deposit one Ether, right? And then I agree to buy your Ether for $350.
Okay.
So then I get my Ether, you get $350, and if you want, you can withdraw to your bank. Now, like, do this for thousands of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and how does that value increases? I mean,
speculation. Only because you believe that it will go higher in the future, you buy it.
Okay, so it's just like stock market, but
yeah,
I mean, people are using it for trading.
Yeah, but there's also some fundamentals attached to it. So I personally am a believer of Ethereum, right? So I think Ethereum blockchain will accrue a lot of apps and a lot of value in the next 5 years. So if that blockchain has meaningful traction, right, the value will definitely go up because people will. So to make any transaction or to run any computer programs on the blockchain, you need the native currency. Okay, to actually be able to run it. So think of it like gas or petrol. Like you need that to move a car. So similarly, to move your car on a blockchain, you need to pay, right? So if I think that thousands of applications will be working on Ethereum in some years from now, the gas prices will go higher, right? So I can be bullish on it right now, and then I can buy a lot of Ether. So that is fundamentals. But short-term trading is, that I believe that Ether will go up tomorrow.
Okay, got it. So and why were the exchanges banned in India?
I mean, right. So Indian government thought, and to a certain extent, it's probably true that crypto is like only for people who want to launder their black money and all of that. But I think if 99 good comes out of something, there's, something like there's 1% bad that will happen from anything. Like, so of course, like the Indian government didn't really get into that, even though there's like a lot of meaningful adoption in the US, Europe, lots of countries have regulated it. They are accepting taxes in it. But then Indian government decided to look at the 1% bad of it, and then they blanket banned it. But then, yeah, slowly, I think the community rallied, and especially because blockchain is bringing in a lot of jobs, a lot of money. So I guess they decided to unban it.
So exchanges are not banned in India.
No, not anymore.
Oh, okay. So do you think government has some sort of disadvantage when, because obviously it's a centralized power, so there is a disadvantage for government to, allow decentralization to happen, or allow decentralization technologies to exist. So isn't it not in their favor to?
Yeah, it's
Isn't
not in their
it,
favor if. Mhm.
because if I was a centralized authority, I'd
Yeah.
want decentralization to come.
Yeah, exactly. But exactly. So if you are a draconian government, you wouldn't want that.
Mhm.
But if you're technologically aware and progressive,
Mhm.
I don't see any reason to, like blanket ban it, or at least like ban it without looking into the reasons. But then, yeah, it's obviously you can't hold technology or innovation back. So it will like definitely happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, like for any rational person, it doesn't make sense to not like it.
So yeah, so this brings me to this part where we already have learned about Ether's application. So I'll come to DAOs later. So can we come to DeFi and then go to
Yeah,
your project with DeFi dollar is?
yeah, of course.
DeFi is decentralized finance,
Uh,
and how is decentralized finance? Because Bitcoin is also decentralized currency. How is it different from DeFi?
right. So in finance, like just traditional finance, right? What else? What all comes to your mind? Like when I say finance?
Banks,
Yeah,
stock market, and things like insurance, FD,
yeah,
fixed deposits, and
exactly.
recurring
So all of this, but now instead of banks, like it is
yeah.
happening in a decentralized manner. So there's a lot of money moving from here and there. People are borrowing, people are lending, people are trading, they are taking loans,
Uh-huh.
right? They are trading tokens like stocks, and they are doing like options, all of the financial things, but in a decentralized manner.
Finance in a decentralized manner. So
Yes,
Bitcoin was
exactly.
the exchange of currency. This is everything. So do you think it's like from, I don't know, I'm making it primitive, but from barter to coming to the part where there are stocks market, the fixed deposits, is lending and stuff?
Uh, are you saying Bitcoin is barter?
Yeah, I mean, in this context, I mean, Bitcoin
No,
was
no,
just
Bitcoin is
of
no,
the,
Bitcoin is INR. Bitcoin is INR,
okay.
and then Ethereum is probably like your Paytm, phone pay, or but even better.
Yeah, it's really bad to compare to paid phone bill. So
Right,
yes,
right, right.
DeFi is where lending and other finance things come in. So what all are
Correct.
possible? Is there something totally new that is there in decentralized finance that doesn't exist in the regular finance?
Yeah, now there's this concept of, yeah, I got your question. So now the problem is in centralized finance, right? There's this big thing called KYC. So you know who the person who's taking the loan. So they can't really run away with it. Like there's always police to catch them,
Yeah.
right? There are also collateralized loans. So you put in a house, like you put a mortgage worth $100,
Yeah.
and you can take some loan on it. But there's also uncollateralized loans. Right? They see what is your
Uh,
uh,
right. Credit history or things like that.
yeah, credit history, what is your income, how much do you earn, whether you pay your credit cards bill on time, right? So there's concept of identity, like the government knows who you are, the bank knows who you are.
So the
Now with
person comes to identify Aadhaar card and things like that.
Yep, right. Now the challenge in decentralized finance is that it is permissionless in the sense that anyone can participate. So there is, there's no law enforcing you to do something.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, if you do loans, you take a loan from me, and you just promise me that you'll pay in the future. But there's no law around it. So you
Yeah.
can always run away,
Yes.
right? So in DeFi, you do not have uncollateralized loans because there's no concept of identity
Uh-huh.
or reputation,
Mhm.
right? Your credit
Yeah.
history.
Exactly.
So in DeFi, it's just collateralized loans. What that means is you deposit $100,
Uh-huh.
and then you can take a so you can deposit an asset worth $100, and then you can take a loan for $60.
Okay. So
So that is the idea.
always
But
supposed to be
Mhm.
less than what you deposit.
Exactly, because the currencies are volatile. So your $100 collateral could like reduce in value suddenly and then go to like $55.
Yeah.
And in that case, you wouldn't even give me $60 back, right? Because you are already in a profit. And that happens.
Yeah.
So then, because decentralized finance is so seamless, right? You can write programs that interact with each other. So now what I will do is I am building this loan app. Okay. I'll also plug it with the trading app. Okay. And then what happens? You have deposited $100. You have taken a $60 loan. And let's say your collateral value is falling. Okay. Your deposit value that is falling and that reaches $70. Right. At that point, because I have already integrated with a trading app, I'll sell your loan. Okay. So I'll keep $60 for myself and I'll give $10 to like someone else.
Yeah.
So I still got my $60 back. And then, so that is the idea. So this is the idea behind composability, right? In traditional finance, you cannot really do it.
Yeah,
you
because
cannot say
different entities working.
Yeah. So there are these walled gardens, everyone has like very thick walls and you need a lot of permission to do everything. Yes. You can't really make an app that plugs in with like Zerodha, the trading app, or plugs in with Paytm seamlessly. Like there are no open APIs.
So it's an open playground where you can build
exactly
things together, build something entirely new.
Exactly. So think of these like money Lego blocks. You pick up a Lego block, you pick up insurance Lego block, you pick up a lending Lego block and trading, and then you build a new app out of it. And all of this is permissionless. You don't need any paperwork. You just, you know the APIs. You don't need anyone to expose them. On the blockchain, you can see everything. So you can see that there's this app and this is the API. You simply plug in and you build a new product.
This sounds like something how finance should have been from the initial.
Yeah, exactly. But in traditional finance, everyone wants to, extract their own fees.
Yes.
No one wants to be an open protocol, and that's why there's no composability. Even ICICI Bank doesn't know. So if you have some history in, let's say you have a good credit score in HDFC Bank, right? There's no way for ICICI to know it. I mean, of course, there is like a credit score that gets built. Yeah. So your data gets sent to a centralized authority and then they can access that. Yeah. But what if I want more granular data, right? And what if you yourself want to share it? I'm not saying that I want to steal your data, but let's say you want a loan not from your own bank, but from some other bank. Now, how do they know what's your salary, how much, what are your assets and stuff? So traditional finance hopefully is also moving towards that. There's some idea about like these open APIs, and I'm not sure what is this. So actually, you guys did another hackathon recently, right?
Which account aggregator, right?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so exactly. I heard so someone talk about that. It is very much, there are parallels between this and the decentralized finance revolution.
Exactly. So that is the idea. If you could, combine all of these things, but also not keep all the data at one place, because then it can be stolen. It becomes a honeypot, right? So if you could build open protocols so that innovation can happen seamlessly. That is the idea.
So where does DeFi dollar come? Where does your project, how that started? Because now I think I can understand your project better.
Okay, yeah. Sure. So before that, I'll tell you about stablecoins. Okay. Stablecoins are simply crypto dollars. And what that means is, people said that we are okay with Bitcoin and Ethereum as being currencies because I can get a payment from anyone in the world. But then these are so volatile, right? I accepted $100, but that can be $90 after 5 minutes. So then there wasn't really some meaningful adoption in the real world, right outside of blockchain. So then there was definitely a demand for crypto dollars, which means cryptocurrencies which are stable, right?
I mean, so its value it's not volatile. It's remains same.
Right. So now there's definitely a demand for it. And these things are called stable coins, right? So these work exactly like any other cryptocurrency, but they are stable in value. Now there are lots of stable coins and the market is huge. I think the total volume in the market cap of stable coins is $11 billion on the blockchain. So now there are lots of types of stable coins, right? One easy type of stable coin is I spin up a company. I say that I'll put $100 in my bank account and I will give 100 tokens on the blockchain, and you can exchange at any time.
Yeah.
Okay. So then each token on the blockchain becomes worth $1.
Okay.
So that is a stable coin.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. That is a stable coin. So that is the most easy part, and that is but centralized, right? So let's say I am running a company and my bank account can get seized. Government can say that you are a fraud and then seize all my assets, or I could intentionally loan out your asset or like run away with your money.
Yeah.
Which happened recently. I think Carvi, I don't know what are they. Are they like a demat account provider, or like somehow they manage your stocks? They are probably a broker, not sure.
Yeah.
So they loaned other users your stocks, which they had with themselves. and people don't even know about it. And after a couple months, something happened. Maybe they crashed, or like the third party ran away with them. I don't know what exactly happened, but Carvey was loaning out their users' money,
Oh,
right? So centralized stablecoins have this problem. So now to solve this, there were some decentralized stablecoins, and it's just like some algorithm and some code that is keeping the value stable of a particular coin. It is keeping it stable. That is like a 1 hour long discussion in itself. So there are like a couple decentralized stablecoins. Okay. So their supply and demand are managed in a way that their value stays at $1. So there are like 5 to 6 types of stablecoins, and each of that coin has its own pros and cons. Okay. Some are centralized. People don't really like centralized coins, which I spoke about, like your assets can get seized or I can run away. Decentralized stable coins are harder to keep stable, because like for a lot of reasons. So then what we are doing is we are creating a basket of these stable coins.
okay.
Okay. And we are saying that we are diversifying your risk.
This is DeFi. This is your project.
Yeah, this is DeFi.
Okay.
So we are saying that we are diversifying your risk across stable coins.
All right. Okay.
So if one stable coin fails, only 75% of your portfolio will fail, something like that.
So how many stable coins are there? Do they? I mean, how many stable coins exist right now?
How many kinds of stable coins?
DeFi
already supports.
Let's say Maker is a stable coin.
Yeah, the coin that the Maker have issued, the DAI coin. Yeah.
And then there are different stable coins that other than Maker.
Yeah. So Maker is a decentralized one. Centralized ones are USD Tether. That is an independent company doing that. There's USDC. Binance has issued one. Right. So lots of stable coins. Yeah.
This is not happening. So your project is diversifying this risk when you have a stable coin.
Yes. Also, we are doing some intelligent things. So we lend our assets behind the scenes, but that's not us doing it personally. It's defined in the code. So we have plugged in with another protocol that is generating income from stablecoins, right? So they are doing trading and lending and stuff. So we didn't need their permission, right? They can't stop us. Of course, like I talked to that guy, but yeah, we don't need that to happen. So then we integrated with their protocol. So we lend the assets behind the scene, and that generates income. And that income we use to further stabilize the value of our stablecoin. So yeah, like lots of stuff going
on there. So yeah, so we came to DeFi dollars. So I mean, it makes much more sense now what you're doing. And I thought, I saw on Twitter that people are really loving that project, and it's going really well for you right now.
Yeah, actually, let me just take this moment of glory. So we launched DeFi dollar last week, and our protocol is already managing $3 million. Okay. And we are extending that to $9 million tonight in 4 hours, in 3 hours. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
So I think it'll go great.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think now that I understand this, and coming to the other side of this, it's this decentralization. Where you said like there's 51% consent required. It's distributed to all the people. Is it sort of like democracy? Is that the philosophy of democracy?
Yeah. Yes.
So in that sense, because democracy is not 100% perfect.
Yeah, it is not.
It's not a 100% perfect formula. Actually, it was Plato or Socrates. He said that democracy was just above tyranny in the form of government. So there was aristocracy and authoritarian or something. Then came democracy. Came tyranny. I think it was Socrates. And he said that democracy is bad because you are giving people.
Minorities still lose out.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, the best example that people use, or even he uses, that when you are deciding for a captain of a ship, would you decide from allow people who have already sailed, who are captains, to decide, or would you allow the whole town to decide your captain? And we know that the perils democracy can bring in the last 4 years across the world.
Right.
That's what can happen. So in that parallel, are there any similar drawbacks to decentralization as well?
Right. Maybe there are drawbacks, but it's all about, what can you do better? So protocols are trying to do that in lots of ways. So there's one blockchain, what they are doing is, I don't try to see what everyone is doing. Like I don't try to see 51%. I just see my peers.
Okay.
And then let's say there are two types of peers, red and green. So I just see my peers and I can pick any color.
Okay. I mean, it didn't quite get it. Not 51%, but just the peers, as in the
so
ones.
how they define it is like you. Okay. So let's say like this is consensus, right? You have to eventually agree on this is the state of the database, right? This is how much money you have. You have to agree on that. So that is called consensus. So in Bitcoin on Ethereum, it's like whatever 51% of the majority decides, that becomes the norm, right? Actually, one thing there. So it's, let's say the 49% aren't happy with what the 51% decided, right? Because it's an open protocol, they can fork from there.
Fork as in create a
new blockchain. So let's say till 100 block, they were happy, but after 101, they were not happy.
So they separated themselves entirely from
yeah, exactly. From 100 itself, they start a new chain, like starting a new Git branch.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is called forking. And lots of forks have happened. So Bitcoin has seen 2 or 3 forks. It's all about philosophy. A group of tech people thought that, we don't really like how Bitcoin is, where Bitcoin is going now. And they had some other ideas. Some other parts of the community had some other ideas. So both of them forked the chain. Yeah. So Bitcoin Cash is one of those currencies, which is a fork of Bitcoin.
So do you think? Yeah, please. Sorry.
No. So another fork of Ethereum is called Ethereum Classic. Yeah.
Ethereum Classic.
Yeah. So if you're not happy, just fork out. And if you have a good community around it, that's perfectly fine. Use your own blockchain.
So I think it's sort of like this, where the most popular one becomes the most dominant one in the end.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are a lot of people who believe in these forks, right? There are Bitcoin Cash people who say that Bitcoin Cash is best, but so you can use that. Yeah. No one is forcing you to use Bitcoin.
I think most religions are a fork of some existing ancient religion. There's so many overlapping ideas in Christianity and Islam and things like that.
Exactly. That's a good analogy.
Yes, the one become dominant, and what other drawbacks are there apart from this? Because there's of course must have been some friction in catching up and totally, because I think the end goal is to totally replace Web 2, the centralization that Web 2.0 brings. Or just exist in parallel to Web 2.0 or as a
So actually, what blockchain community has realized slowly is people don't really care about centralized or decentralized, like masses. My dad doesn't care about decentralization or stuff, right? So what blockchain community has now realized is that they cannot keep selling decentralization because 90% of the people don't care about it. What they have to sell is new applications that cannot be created on a centralized infrastructure.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So open protocols is one such application, open financial protocols. So yeah, like eventually if you see apps that add value to your life, but which are not possible in traditional finance, that is when you will make the move to, using this decentralized.
Because what I've been seeing is that applications similar to web, the one that exists on 2.0, but what's being sold more is that blockchain as a feature and decentralization as a feature.
Yep. But that is not working. Yeah.
Yeah, that is not working because like you said, most people don't care. Yeah. I mean, it's like something that you don't care about a lot, but until you have to care about it.
Yeah, you could say like that.
Privacy or something.
Yeah, you could say that.
And also, is there, I mean, what I've been reading, I mean, I just glanced over it a while ago, is about speed of how algorithms work and how, Ethereum is progressing to the next version, as in the next version is getting delayed a lot. So what's the problem there? I mean, what space is that?
Right. So Ethereum has a lot of traction, and the number of transactions that you can do is, so transaction, any computation is, any atomic computation is called a transaction.
Okay.
Let's say you give a collateral and take a loan. You can do that in one transaction. Okay. So this atomic thing is called one transaction, not just the transfer. Okay. So Ethereum just does like 15 transactions per second right now, which is very low. Okay. So there's like, lots of people trying to build the next Ethereum called the Ethereum 2.0, which scales a lot, but in a decentralized manner. Like obviously, if you have a traditional server and a database, you can scale to millions, but you also want to keep it decentralized, right? Yeah. So it's just like new technical challenges which people are trying to solve, and these are very hard challenges because they haven't been faced before, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the idea. Like lots of researchers working on it.
So I think what would let's say, because you obviously believe in this philosophy, so when or what would be the condition of the world, or where would the world be when you will be satisfied as in this philosophy has finally succeeded in terms
Actually, my view there is right. So I'm not that of a that thinker who tries to preach something to other people or like a philosopher. Like I'm not there. So for me, I think Bitcoin, blockchain, and stuff, it's just more like a religion which you follow, and you're not forcing it to anyone. So you do your own thing. I want to do my own thing. I just want to, just like with the religions, right? If you follow Hinduism, you go to temple or stuff, but you're also not preaching it on others. So as long as that is okay, like I'm good. I am happy with what is happening in Bitcoin, blockchain, Ethereum, and like that gives me satisfaction. I don't want to, like force it down others' throat.
Yeah, I mean, because if you see the history of Christianity or something, it's actually religions have been.
Exactly. They do that. Yeah, that's what.
For doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have that, particular point where I want to see the world to go. Like I'm not that of much of a visionary.
But you do think that decentralization is better than the current state?
Yeah, in the sense that, like you don't really need one currency per country, because when there was just gold, like trade was happening in gold, uh, there was a lot of scientific progress, right? Because there were no walled gardens, free markets were deciding everything. There was no concept of inflation. Governments didn't decide prices artificially. All of this wasn't so artificial, and because when there was free trade among all the countries, right? I think that world was a more global one.
Exactly.
So yeah, like the trade of the movement of goods and services was more free. So I think if you could reach there, maybe that will benefit us.
So since you said like this community, so already I hope the Zoom call has not stopped because it's already 7:30, so it was a 1 hour call. But one last question, Arpit, like for people like you said, this community, I believe that the Bitcoin, the blockchain and the Ethereum community and the people who really believe in this philosophy is a very strong community. Right? Because I have not seen better response from any other community where people jump in, whether to add value or to take value away. But there's a very strong community. And for someone who is working in Web 2.0, let's say for a college student or someone who has been trained, who sees just Web 2.0 stuff happening and is really interested in it, in 3.0. So how can they start? How can they enter in this field and progress?
I think my approach, I'll just share my approach. I start with like watching some videos, trying to understand the basics, and then I directly jump onto what is being built on a particular platform or application just to see what the uses are, right? That is my approach, because then if I find that the applications are interesting, then I dig into the tech. Yeah, like I don't, over engineer at the beginning without understanding what I'm doing this for. So, and also that is interesting. I think once you know what is being built, you know the basics. Now you can appreciate what is being built.
Yeah.
Now you look at like 5 projects that are being built on Ethereum, and then if you find that interesting, then dig in. If not, then yeah.
So, are there any resources? What programming languages a person should study to?
Solidity. So Solidity is a new language which you write smart contracts, the programs on Ethereum with, and that is a very easy language, almost like JavaScript, and that is very mission critical language. It's almost like so the code that enables a rocket to take off, right? It's not like you're pushing upgrades to it. I'm pretty sure they're testing it for years after code freezes, right? So it's kind of like that. So our protocol is just like 500 lines of Solidity.
Yeah.
And tonight that will manage $9 million. So it's just like, and even one mistake leads to all the funds being drained.
Okay.
So it's Solidity is very limited in scope, just that it's very mission critical. So you cannot leave a bug there.
Okay.
Also, it's not upgradable. The programs are not upgradable on blockchain.
Upgradable as in once you ship V1, that's it?
Yeah. So there are special things that you have to do to make it upgradable. But then that makes it not decentralized, because then it's in your power, right? So projects like us or like any early project start with that trade-off. We can ship some upgrades right now. It's not like we can change the entire code. We can make little modifications, but then the protocol is in our hands, right? Slowly, we want to decentralize it. So we will give the power to our community to govern the protocol and decide the upgrades. So that is the idea behind all the blockchain protocols.
Yeah. So any other blogs or resources that, like you said, you did a lot of reading online. That someone should read and get started, or some podcast.
Right. So there are some applications that I usually recommend to people to just see what they're doing, right? Because that usually they are mind blowing. One is called Uniswap. I'll just throw the names here.
Ubisoft?
Because Uniswap.
Uniswap, okay.
Yeah. Uniswap, and then Augur.
Augur, yeah.
And Compound, Aave. Yeah, I think these four. I mean, there are a lot more, but these are the ones that are, the OGs.
Okay.
Yeah, generally, if you want to learn, just like Google around.
Yeah, because like Elon Musk, how to make a rocket. Exactly. So we started. I mean, I actually learned a lot today. I didn't have so much idea about what a blockchain. I couldn't tell the difference between a Bitcoin and a blockchain, but now I know that Bitcoin is built on a data structure, it is blockchain, and then there were very potential uses of the blockchain that exists, and then people pulled it out, and Ethereum was built, and then under Ethereum, DeFi was built, and a lot of applications too, and now people are trying to working on Ethereum 2.0.
Right.
And there are stable coins. There's so much going on.
So there's a lot going on, and it's a community religion on its own, and all of this is happening in parallel. And each two researchers are working on that. Like people just work on what they want to. DeFi has been growing like crazy. Like till April or till May this year, there was just $1 billion in the entire DeFi apps, right? And within months, that has grown to $6 billion. 6x in less than 6 months.
That's crazy. So is United States still the epicenter of where most of this revolution is happening?
Not really. So interestingly, laws in the US are strict, but they are progressive. They are not like India, right? They are very progressive. Like if you look at the hearings that they did with Libra, the cryptocurrency that Facebook is making, right? So the senators there, the government there is very well informed. So they are taking a conscious approach to it, because there was like a lot of scamming in 2017. That's why. But I think DeFi is huge in Japan, China, Europe. Yeah.
So when Venezuela, I think because I met someone from Venezuela who was not wanting to go back to his country for some reason because of the economic clash or something.
And they dropped 5 zeros from their currency. So you had 1 lakh today and 1 rupee tomorrow. Imagine that.
So is the situation better in Venezuela now? Or?
I don't really know, but during this time, people started using Bitcoin because they were losing 30% of their money every day. Imagine that. So people were something like that. Yeah, something around that figure, right? So yeah, like imagine your money is reducing from 1 lakh to 1, and then average it out.
Okay.
Right. So something like that.
So is there any other country that's facing the same issue like Venezuela? Because I think this must have been a big catalyst for people to switch to cryptocurrency.
Yeah, lots of people started paying their doctors in Bitcoin. In fact, the price of Bitcoin in Venezuela skyrocketed because everyone wanted Bitcoin, because you are losing 30% of money every day. Imagine that. So yeah, like doctors were accepting that and all. There were a couple other countries who saw the same crisis, but yeah, I don't think anymore, because this is like once in a blue moon event, right? You wouldn't see it happen quite often.
Exactly. So even I mean, I was coming back to India's demonetization, but I think that's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
But something like our cryptocurrency must have been, so no one can come and say for, let's say, a Bitcoin that the Bitcoin you own is not valid anymore.
Yeah, all Bitcoin are the same.
Bitcoin is okay. I think we've already 8 minutes over time. So best of luck for DeFi, and thank you so much for taking.
No worries, man. Thank you for inviting me.
From scratch to here. It's actually very interesting what's happening, because I think that's the point. If you just keep doing the same things and keep following the same rules, it becomes stagnant, really. And I think that as Homo sapiens, as humans, we've always been very, in any field at all, we've always been we branch out into something new, and that becomes static. maybe
Right.
what could happen from years from now, maybe cryptocurrency or something that's become the norm, and people
Yeah,
are,
it could.
then something totally different happens, and then
Totally.
that's how we progress, right? And it's really good to be in touch with someone or talk to someone who is actually part of the solution. I've been just watching and the portfolio is organizing hackathons and helping.
Yeah.
You've also helped us a lot in with ETH India and the projects you've built and the recipe you've given.
Yeah, man. Thank you for inviting me. And I think ETH India has helped me much more than I have helped ETH India.
We were actually had plans this year, but you know what happened.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much for. I mean, you guys are doing a great job with ETH India and like all the other hackathons as well, right? And also like rallying the dev community around,
Yeah.
rallying the dev community because I think it's very siloed right now. Docker people have their own conference and Ruby people have their own conference. But I think these, multi-paradigm hackathons
Mhm.
that DevFolio does is like super cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah, that's what we believe in, isn't it? Just
Yep.
even for in-out last year, there were no tracks. We were just like build something
Yeah.
for 48 hours. So
And that's really I appreciate what you guys are doing because there are so many companies with lots of funds, right? But no one really invests in the community. But you guys do it even without a lot of funds, so that is very cool.
yeah, community is really important, but that's something we realize because what that we've gotten for in-out and then for diff.
Yep.
Community is really, really important, and community is even important in everything. For example, even in the cryptocurrency and decentralized part, the community is actually a big pillar supporting the whole thing.
Right. Exactly. Because this is about decentralization, right? So your users are like spread out everywhere. We don't even know who the users of DeFi dollar are.
So I'm really, really hopeful someone stumbles onto this video and they find
Uh-huh.
this thing, and then their whole career path changes, and maybe they quit their job and build a project like this.
Yeah, I would say it's a risky career choice because everything go down to zero. But if you find it interesting, then it's super good.
So thank you again, Arpit. I think we'll be ending this stream. Now we've been
Sure,
talking
man.
for the last 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Oh wow, I didn't even feel like.
Thank you so much, Arpit. Thank you
Thanks,
again.
Nash. Thanks, Nash.